Lake Forest podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Looking for the best pool supplies? Look no further than Dohany's Pool Supplies. With a history dating back to 1967, this family-owned business offers everything families need to keep their pools clean and sparkling, from chemicals to equipment. Plus, customers enjoy free shipping on all orders. Visit Dohany's Pool Supplies today at doheny.com, doheny.com, to learn more. Forest Bluff Real Estate Team serves Illinois, Wisconsin, Lake Forest, and Lake Bluff. John Josephitis, Laura Lee Van Fleet, and of course Michelle Parnell. Get a free market analysis now at forestbluffrealestate.com. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Havey Communications has been helping first responders arrive safely since 1983. It's owned by Lake Forest's own Mike Havey. Check them out at haveycommunications.com. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters: Costa, Lance, Otto, RDM, John C., and Helen. Shout out to the Lake Forest Breakfast Group, Broad Stop and Captain Mike's in Kenosha, the Greentown Tavern, and the Frolic Lounge in Waukegan. Welcome to the Lake Forest Podcast, a podcast about the lovely city of Lake Forest, featuring topics like local news, sports, music, people, and food. My name is Pete, and I'm joined with my co-host, Scoo Walker, and we all live in Lake Forest. Scoo, we have a sponsor for the show today, NeuroNoodle. Hey, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Get a doodle of your noodle. Now that we're starting to get back into live sports, your kids get a physical, right? Well, they should also get a brain map so you have a baseline to compare it to in case something happens. Visit neuronoodle.com. Again, Mental Health Awareness Month for the month of May, Scoo. All right, full disclosure, I'm on the Caucus Volunteer Committee. I'm an advocate of the caucus, and I'm trying to educate the community so we have more people volunteering to pitch in, as well as a better understanding what the Caucus Committee is and does. I am not, and we'll find out again, I am not a caucus or city government expert. I do my best to bring on experts to educate all of us. Heads up, we will make mistakes on the show. We will not edit our guest comments. We'll post corrections in chat and welcome people to come on the show to correct us. Okay, Scoo, our policy is to let our guests give their opinion and air it unedited. We let an opposing thought come on the next show, and we do our best to keep it balanced. You know, we had our guy Tim Newman on Friday. It was a great show. But, you know, he's conservative, middle of the road, conservative, however you want to call it, and he has his point of view. And people that would be listening to it would say, oh, you know, that's a conservative show. And I want people to know it's not. It's conservative, it's liberal, it's libertarian. You live in Lake Forest, you're on the caucus, whether you like it or not, and you got a point of view, come on the air and air it. So I hope as time goes by, Scoo, that people will trust our show to let people speak their minds, no matter if they agree with us or not. You know, I'm walking in the street, and somebody says, oh, you know, you got Tim on. Yeah, well, I'm liberal. I'll never come on your show again. I'm like, well, do you got a good point? I mean, you know, nothing's stopping you. Nobody will listen to your show again. And I'm like, that's so disappointing, Scoo.
Somebody actually said that to you?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. First, I mean, I can't believe, I got on this just because of the premise that providing information to our community. There's no sides or political viewpoint. I mean, it's, you know, if someone doesn't like who we bring on, I mean, it's not strategic that we're going to bring on a conservative or liberal person. We're bringing on people of Lake Forest to talk about what they feel.
Well, they asked to come
on in their mind. And if someone doesn't like it listening, that's great. Then come on and you can rebut this. But to sit there and say, I'm never going to listen to your show because you had a certain individual on, come on. I mean, come on, talk about childish. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, Well, I think what people expect us to do is if somebody comes on the show and they say something, that we got a staff of fact checkers to go through and, no, you're wrong. Gotcha. No, man,
Right.
these are
I
regular
guess that's how
people talk.
society is now. You can't open your mouth without someone saying you're wrong. And
Yeah.
a lot of times people don't even know who that person is that's speaking. And sometimes a person can be saying something in jest, but not, the way that listeners want to hear it. So that, again, I mean, I think it's crazy. I mean, everyone can come on regardless of their viewpoints or anything, but, we want to hear from the community.
It's like at the beginning, we needed a female voice. We had Sasha come on. We got Lori come on. We're trying to get our schedules coordinated because we want a different voice. And, is it right to say, hey, we're looking for some liberals or libertarians or somebody, come on. Is that wrong to say?
I mean, I don't think we'd say we want, no. I mean, at least I was thinking we're asking people, not political parties.
Right. But that's what that's what happens. You have somebody that comes on that gives their view and they think a certain way, and it's like we got to shoot down what they say. Look, I hate to go back to Ginger. I didn't shoot down what Ginger had to say. A lot of people got on me for not doing that. Thank God you weren't on the show. That would have been, oh God. Right.
I would have had my opinion, but it had nothing to do with a political party or anything.
So I don't know. It just, everything goes to the politics here.
And it shouldn't.
And it shouldn't. And here, let me, I got a note here.
I mean, this isn't a Lake Forest political podcast, is it? I didn't think it was.
I think it is during election time.
But that's new.
Politics never seem to matter unless it affects the person themselves, right?
Right.
So, and there's a system in place. And one of the goals that I had when I came on the caucus was, didn't know about it. I heard conflicting things about it. And what I get out of it was there's misinformation out there. And I want to come in as a newbie to kind of get into the weeds, get in the mud and figure out what's what. So now I'm a year into it and I'm trying to learn with everybody else. And the people that are in the know, unfortunately, I guess there's more downside risk to coming on the show than upside risks to help us get it right then and there. You know what I mean? Then you're left with me and you trying to figure it out.
But I guess my question is, I mean, to be on the caucus or being on the caucus as an executive member, I don't know necessarily if that makes you the expert.
Well,
and you know what? I mean, I know we've invited several people on the caucus and they declined to come on, which I don't understand why, but yet these people are very willing to shoot emails out and, I don't know what, if they say stuff, outside of this and all, but you know what, come on. It's not a big deal. Well, and if you're on the executive committee and you are kind of the expert of the caucus, hey, one of the biggest problems of the caucus is, and I'm saying it as a caucus member, one of the biggest problems is there's not enough community education on what the caucus committee does and what the executive committee does and how that all plays into the boards and commissions. And these caucus people, committee people, particularly the exec board, since they're the quote unquote leadership of the caucus, need to figure out how to educate the community on the caucus system, because all their responsibility, and I underline all their responsibility is to drum up interest in volunteering to participate on the boards and commissions. And if people are not in this community educated on that, there's nowhere to go except the wonderful caucus website that doesn't really provide much information anyway. So that's what You know, they got an internal communication person, an external communication person on the executive committee. Those people need to start stepping up and explaining the process to the community, educating the community. And once that's done, each ward will it'll be a lot easier for these wards to interview people and pull people on boards and commissions. And when they do that, that'll make the boards and commissions a lot stronger for the staff to do their job. Period.
Well, here, let me get to where I screwed up on the last show, and then I'll get into.
You screwed up?
Yeah, I screwed up, Stu. It's just,
you know what we need, Pete, on this podcast? When we supposedly screw up, according to people listening, we should have like a automatic hand come out and slap us or something. Or a zap or something where we get electrocuted. So we're like, oh, okay, I must have said something wrong there.
Like one of those dog collars. But no, you know, it's let me clarify, and then the person wouldn't come on, but I will read their comments, and then I will, you know, respond, and somewhere we'll try to get the truth out. Okay. On the last show, I said, how can you not have groupthink if there's not a system in place for the Caucus Executive Committee? The vice president isn't voted on by the committee. The vice president is handed the presidency. The caucus committee president picks whom he or she wants on the executive committee to surround themselves with. Okay. The executive committee positions are elected positions. This is the response that the facts, okay? Their candidacy is presented at the spring meeting, which is a public meeting, and the vote occurs at that meeting. The spring meeting occurred on March 16th this year, which I attended and voted at that meeting. We discussed the agenda of the spring meeting as a caucus committee during our regular caucus committee meeting on March 9th, the meeting which I also attended. Our officer selection process is reviewed with all caucus committee members annually, and we encourage members to consider these positions from the time they first start their journey on the caucus. We just did that in the old new meeting, which I attended last week. I look forward to your corrections to your statements as soon as possible. Okay. Now, what I should have said was...
Is that what you said or no? That was the email response.
Yeah, that was the email that I got. And I don't even know if I'm supposed to read that email. I mean, it's a...
Oops.
Well, it's a retraction, right? So I'm...
Okay.
That's what should have been said. And let me just get across where I was coming from. I asked the question of, hey, what does it take to get on the executive committee by somebody in leadership? And here were the 3 points that I was given at this meeting that was referenced last week.
This was you mentioned this at the new old meeting.
Old new meeting, yeah.
I'm sorry. Whoops.
Yeah,
I hope I didn't get slapped for that, saying the new old.
Well, you raise your hand saying you have interest. You go through mentorship for a year, and finally, it's really up to the president and vice president to decide, because it's really the executive committee they want to have and how they want to do it. So I heard that, and then I come on the show and I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right.
So what is mentorship, Pete? So if you raise your hand and say, I want to be vice president, and you're in the 3rd ward as a committee member, you want to be vice president. So are you still, who's mentoring you for that year?
Part of the confusion is,
never heard of that.
You go to the caucus website and the bylaws aren't there, or the bylaws that were there that are taken down were from 2016. Right. So I
don't think that website's too updated, because I know my profile I tried updating and it was, outdated or not there. I mean, it's probably doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So, look, this is a process problem. It's not a person problem. Okay. It's not a personal thing. You got 2 years to make an impact. Okay. I just burned 1 year, and now I know what's going on. I can't have any influence over the next executive officers till the next spring meeting.
Hey, can I ask you something, Pete, which gets to my whole point that since I've been on this podcasts I've been trying to make, as well as I've voiced my opinions outside of this. You're part of the caucus for the committee for the last year, right? And you have questions about how the operation of it works. Okay, and that's one of 40 people on the caucus committee. One person, I can almost guarantee you, if you have questions on how the internal process works, there's got to be other people, because I know a lot of people on the caucus don't want to step up and ask questions like maybe you have, and a lot of people, that's just human nature. Once one person stands up, they kind of, oh yeah, I'm gonna fall in line. So if there's questions on the process on the caucus committee internally, imagine externally. So, because you stated what you thought is how the process works, and then you were corrected. I don't know if that's a retraction. I think it's clarification. And I guess that's what we're trying to do, is get people to come on and explain how stuff works. I mean, you had the old president on before, at least before I was on the podcast.
Well, Mike Adams was the first podcast. Kudos to him, man. He came on and he kicked it all off and totally appreciated. And now he's retired. Mike maybe come back on and slap me around a little bit.
So when you ask people, I'm going to be open about that. I mean, you're asking people to come on. You don't call me and say, hey, can I put this person on? But when people turn you down, why are people turning down? I mean, are they not? I mean, I can understand if they don't want to speak or something, but why are people turning you down? Or why are people telling you, I'm never going to listen to your podcast again because you had so and so on there? I mean, I don't get it.
First of all, I can't get into somebody else's head. Okay, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, but it's really easy to.
But Neuronoodle can.
Make sure you're insured by Dakota Insurance. It's really easy to be on the sidelines, okay, to critique, hey, 4th and 1, you should have made that call.
Right.
But I'm snapping you the ball and you're the quarterback, okay? We're on the field, okay? So for the people not coming on, I'm imagining, and somebody can correct me, I think it's only downside to them, or that it's a perception of downside that, oh, I can't win, why should I come on? And then when you don't come on, you just keep this perception of, well, all the knowledge is stored in one place, and it's a, quote unquote,
it's not though.
right.
And keeping that, sports analogy, I mean, if you want to keep that sports analogy at the caucus committee level, hey, you know what? The 36 members, or whatever the number, 9 times 4, that's the team. And the exec committee is the coaching staff. And I tell you what, if there's a disconnect between coaching staff and players, that team doesn't win.
Well, getting back to what you said about, the speaking out in a group, okay? I'm speaking out. Maybe somebody else will speak out. If you only have 1 or 2 people speaking out, then you're branded as whatever, okay? Then going forward, what you say can be discounted, all right? When I speak out, I have people on both. I have people on both sides that said, "Oh man, that's what I was thinking. I've always wanted to say that." But you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It only happens when you're on the field, right?
But here's I just can't. I mean, here's my thing. Yes, if you stood up, it's just like being in grade school and high school and all that, and you're in a class and everyone doesn't want to stand up, but someone all of a sudden stands up and says something, and people agree with it. Align yourself, but you're on the first premise of being on the caucus committee is political views are checked at the door, agendas are checked at the door. And you know what? If someone can't stand up and say, you know what, raise their hand, go, wait a minute, I don't understand that, or I disagree with that. Can you clarify that? Or, And if people get defensive on it, well, maybe those people shouldn't be on the caucus because they definitely have their agendas and their hidden agendas if they're not willing to accept everyone's opinion on stuff.
Well,
I don't know. I just think it's crazy.
Well, you brought up the word correction and then, retraction, however you want to call it. Here's kind of what I should have said again. The Executive Caucus Committee is voted on at the spring meeting. What I should have said is the candidates to be put on the ballot for the Executive Caucus Committee are not voted on or vetted. They are chosen by the president of the caucus. Should we vet our executive committee members and vote on it as a caucus membership? I mean, we have subcommittees for everything else. I mean, why don't, because kind of what's happening is you come into this, you got a 2-year term. You come in that spring meeting, you don't know what the hell's going on, and you're supposed to vote on these people that are going to lead you, okay? That leaves the other experienced people around to close out old issues and to say who they want on the executive committee. There's no resume, there's no skills. It's just, here's the card, vote for it, okay? I'm just saying, hey, can I know who these people are? Because the way it is, the vice president turns into the president. That's just what's happening. Okay, I can't find anybody to detract.
And that's been, when I was on there, that was, it's just a understood kind of thing that, that's how it worked, which is fine. I guess, but
which
is fine. Or maybe is there an opportunity to change stuff?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, it's not fine or it's not fine. It's either it's fine or it's not fine. I'm not saying either. What I should say is it should be in the bylaws that this is how it should be.
Yes.
Okay. And it's up. I'm not saying that bad things are happening. What I'm saying is the door is open to allow groupthink. Okay. When you can choose your friends. Okay. Because when you have people that don't know what's going on, you can say, okay, I like this guy, I like this guy, I like this guy. Here's the card. Okay, you new guys, vote for this. That could happen, Scoo. That's not my issue.
Absolutely. And maybe what should happen is, times change, and maybe here's a weird kind of concept, and this is my weird kind of thought. So yeah, please, anyone listening, it's not peace. Right. But again, the premise on being on the caucus committee is no agenda, no political views, all checked at the door, right? Well, in the process of creating an exec board, if we just, kind of, you raise your hand, I want to be president, isn't that kind of having an agenda? Why would, I don't know. Why would someone go, I want to be president of the caucus, or I want to be vice president? Well, do you have an agenda there? Why don't the executive committee be elected by the caucus committee people? They can submit people's names that they've seen over the time on there that would be a good president or a good vice president and all that. Not necessarily just fall in line. Crazy idea, but I always thought when people raise their hand to be in a certain position, that kind of brings an agenda type of thing there. And I've experienced that too, where there has been agendas because someone wants to be the lead of something.
So I guess I wouldn't say my beef, but my big suggestion is if somebody's going to wants to be on the executive committee, they should interview in front of the caucus, or at least give 2 or 3 minutes to justify what they want to do. Right.
Or let the caucus committee submit some names that people feel that should be a good candidate.
Well, they do, but they do it at the spring election, and you vote and you vote on it, and it's done.
So someone in the 3rd Ward, Janie Sue, might say, I want Tom to be president. But Tom's not on the executive committee?
Well, here.
You know what I'm saying? I know you had to be on the executive committee to be.
Right.
But how do you get on the executive committee?
That's the point. To be a vice president or president, you have to serve 1 year on the executive committee in a role. Okay. Well, if the vice president and president are passing the baton back and forth, selecting their own people, right? That's where the groupthink comes in. All I'm saying is put a process in place where that's not happening, where it's look, all we do is interview people all day. Why aren't we interviewing ourselves? If it's good enough for the school board, why isn't it good enough for us?
Great question. I think that's where people start thinking on the outside that I don't know how this thing works. And God, I'm looking outside, looking in, and it looks all one way,
Oh boy.
That's where, I mean, it's just, you got to change with the times.
Well,
people don't like it the way, I mean, you're not doing anything on this podcast that is hurting the cause.
Well, here, let's load up the other barrel then. So the first beef is, hey, we want to see who these people are going to be on the executive committee, and we want to hear their pluses and minuses or whatever, and vote on it, right? Just like we do with, or should there be a subcommittee to pick these people, right? This old new, you have half of the, I shouldn't say half, it's not half the people leaving, but you have a good amount of the experienced people leaving, and you have new people rolling off. We just have a contested school board election, right? And, what did we do, right or wrong? We don't have anything like that to have an autopsy without blame to figure out what we don't want to do to repeat again.
Right.
Because the people that were part of it are gone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you're absolutely right, Pete. I mean, every election is not contested. And that is at least when I was on the committee. I don't want to say that was a fear, but it was like, what? Hopefully we've selected the right people, but if we have a contested election on some sort, which is fine, it just makes it a lot more difficult, for the committee people. But, but it should be more, it just keeps getting back to education with the new people. I mean, what I always said is, you had mentioned experience. So you got several people rolling off that have served their time on the committee and all that, and new people rolling in. But it really, experience is you're a registered voter in the community that wants to volunteer. That's all the experience you need. Just like on any board and commission, all these people have revised these requirements to be on boards and commissions. No, there's no requirement except that you want to volunteer and you want to help the city be better. And
right.
And that's the key with the caucus committee is when those ward people start rolling off. That's why there's kind of a consistency in a sense with the exec committee, that they're not rolling off either. That's why they stay on when other people roll. But they got to bring that coaching and education to the new people too, as well as creating that synergy on how we're going to interview and get candidates.
Well, it's such funky timing. You have the big election, you have the spring meeting where all this stuff is decided, and you have new people coming in, don't understand the process, and you're okaying the next stack of people, for the next year. So now I think the way the bylaws are written, because they're not on the site, I did get an old copy. You have to submit your requests now to be voted on later. And I haven't had anybody ask me to be my mentor yet. Scoo, you want to be my mentor?
I'll mentor you. I don't know what. Yeah, I'd be happy to.
But so look, with all the warts, as you like to say, that are here, it's still the best game in town, right? It's just the process needs to be tweaked so it can be transparent and everybody can see what's going on. And it's not just one or two people speaking up, because I am not the only one that feels the same way what's going on, because it's common sense.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, Pete, for me as an outsider looking in on this whole thing is what you're doing and what you've created on this podcast is nothing but good for the city of Lake Forest and the residents. This is something that is needed. And it's an educational type of tool that not only maybe from a political standpoint, but also from all the businesses, what that we're bringing on, and, people are learning about it, they're listening to it. And I'm sure these businesses are benefiting from this too. Probably, could they be more? Yeah, but you shouldn't be hamstrung or threatened or anything like that, because you're trying to help the community. And if you're on this caucus, this should be a positive on the caucus, because we're actually taking an educational process and putting it out there on the podcast on the caucus committee. That should help the caucus committee, as opposed to, nowhere in any of these podcasts has anyone said anything that the caucus is this anti whatever. It's been all positive. Right. And like you said before, I'm totally on board with it. Anyone can bitch about stuff, and more power to, when people stand up and complain, and this damn train's going by, I don't know if you can hear it, but people can make their opinions and all that. But when you make your opinion and you say something stinks or doesn't work right, at least come up with a solution. Yeah. I don't like this, but here's what I would do. Because, when you start having solutions to a lot of the problems, things get done a lot quicker than just bitching about stuff and having no solution. And I think, this is good. No one's saying the caucus is bad, but there is opportunity to improve on stuff. And a contested election is a prime opportunity for the caucus to sit back and reflect on, wow, okay, what good, what bad came out of this, and moving forward as the group that puts people on boards and commissions and doesn't like to have contested elections, how can we make it better than what was before? I mean, that's just kind of a natural thing to do. You should be doing a post-mortem on your, what was good, what was bad, and learn from it. And if other people have opinions, take that into account too and learn from that.
Well, the other side is going to say, well,
and you can't be a bad person because of that. I don't know why some people think you're the devil incarnate because you're doing this.
Well, maybe they're going to say it's about process too. I'm interrupting the process. I don't know. But, the other side is going to say, when I say the other side, the other point of view is going to say, well, we're going to get together in July or August and talk about this. Well,
no, they're not.
I have to take them at their word, but let's see, it's May, June, July, 3 months. Okay. We're kicking it down the road.
I'm shaking my head just fast on an experience in all this as, it's a seasonal thing. The caucus meets. They don't meet during the summer. People have other stuff going on and they're not going to meet. I don't care what they say, they're not going to meet. And they got to follow the Meetings Act and all that. So, I mean, they're not going to meet.
Yeah.
And it's going to wait till they're back in session, so to speak. And, and the hope is maybe that'll die down. But
well, then we're going to have, what do we got? Aldermans this year. So all I'm saying is, for all the stuff that's costing us money, okay, the contested stuff, have a more transparent process, okay, where the other side, we give them less ammunition. When I say the other side, competing views can have other ammunition to attack by us being transparent and saying, look, here's the process. This is what we did, okay. The caucus is all Democratic. No, it's not. Nobody's, and I'll say that now, nobody's ever asked me my political affiliations. No, it's never asked on the interviews. But there is a perception of it's a buddy caucus, friends, and the reason why that perception is there is because the president gets to choose who they want, and the information is held within a few. Then when the announcement is made, people say, hey, wait a minute, I wasn't included in this. Well, you should have read this. You should have done that. To me, that's what the issue is. It's stuff like that. There's a few people that know what's going on. And the bylaws were changed in the middle of the pandemic, and hopefully we can get somebody on. I think we
Well,
talked
I
to
think it's
Sheila.
interesting, Pete, as I was looking at the bylaws the other day, and it said 2016, and then yesterday it's updated now. So
oh no, go on there right now, see if it's up. Seriously.
All right, hang on. You're gonna have to see how fast I can.
I'll edit.
Lake Forest Caucus, 1935. Let's see. My profile.
Left-hand side, just go to
your
bylaws.
Profile has been deleted.
Deleted?
Oh.
Shut up.
Recent post. Oh, that's new. Bylaws, where is that? I just clicked on it. It says page can't be found.
See what I'm saying?
So
maybe
I stand corrected. I went to the bylaws, and this is kind of my issue, Pete, is when I go to the caucus website and I try to get on here. Where are you? I'm trying to get back to you. And I want to know about the caucus. I'm telling you, people move in town all the time and want to know what's going on. And I go right now, 2 minutes ago, I'm going to the caucus website looking for the bylaws, and it's not. The website can't be found. That's ridiculous. They created an internal communication person to specifically work on the website, and we don't even have the bylaws in there. And you know what? That makes me mad, because I'm part of the caucus and I want to be educated, and I can't. And people say, go to the website. That's going to tell you all about. Well, no, it doesn't, because it's not there.
We had tens of thousands of dollars that could have been spent that weren't on lawn signs to updating the website. So it would be, I don't know, from this decade.
Yeah, but even that though, you don't need to spend, if you got the website there, and if you got the search engine, and if you got all the stuff behind it, you don't need money to cut and paste.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I'm not a technical guy, but we're not recreating the world. You're taking a PDF or whatever the bylaws are and uploading it.
Well, they had 2016 up a few days ago. I guess that's better than 2016. We just had a transition of officers, I guess. So maybe that's playing a role. I don't know, Scoop. But look, the problems that I brought up, I think I've attached solutions to them. The school board elections, should we put more people on the slate so the public can pick from, or do we want to have the entire caucus be on the first interview so we don't have that contentious stuff going on? The executive committee for the caucus, do we want to have a committee to vet these people, to at least inform, hey, here's who we're going to be running. Does anybody want to do this? Please submit and we'll vote on it. Okay. I haven't seen anything. All I saw, now I know you have a spring meeting. There's a card that you sign off on, and these are the people that the president selected. Okay. That's what the current president told me. Let
me ask you this thing. This is your first year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So last year you were part of the old new, and you were one of the new people.
Yeah.
Okay. So how in God's name, a year later, are you supposed to know how the old new meeting works? If you were brand new last year, and now this is your first going, hey, wait, how does this work? Because you didn't go through it last year.
Well, I'm
you were brought out kind of with a deer in headlights, going, okay, I'm on the caucus. What's going on here?
I'm assuming that the ward chairman, who's now the vice president, would quote unquote mentor you, or say, hey, for anybody who'd like to do it, these, I don't want to say mentor classes or caucus, classes, whatever. You're just interviewing, raising your hand, and then moving on. And then all of a sudden, bam, here are your new officers. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I didn't how did that happen? Oh, you voted on it. What? At the spring meeting? Okay. In the middle of we're putting lawn signs out, So look, it's still the best game. Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's still the best game in town. It's a process thing. We got to, work through this. And it's a term limit thing too, because it takes you a year to figure out what the hell's going on. And then once you do, either you could get voted off or you have 1 year to make an impact. And if you don't, you're gone.
Well, the other thing, back to what you were saying about the elections and the big elections where they're sometimes more contested. The simple solution is, we know when those are going to be.
Right.
The caucus needs to get in front of that and in advance advertise, hey, there's a school board election coming up. If you're interested in being a part of the school board, talk to your ward chair to get on an interview process. Because these contested elections, majority of them, I got to imagine, are because they didn't know the process or were snubbed, so to speak, in the interview process. But if you're upfront, letting people know these elections are coming up, if you want to participate in being a board member or something, here's who you talk to. Here's your ward chairman, blah, 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 or call the president of the caucus to get on a interview slate. But that's simple stuff. That's how you negate contested elections in a caucus-driven system. Period.
Well, the other point of view is, the person has lived here 20 years, they should know.
No, they shouldn't.
Well,
they shouldn't. I know that's the wrong. That's a excuse statement when people say that. And I've said that in the past too, and I've been wrong about it because people have everyday lives, and This is the last thing. But you know what? People's lives change on a daily basis, and one person might not want to participate as a volunteer today, and then tomorrow wants to. Because they don't know how the process works, they're shame on them. No, that's not right. I mean, and I've heard that too. I agree with you. The other side says this, whatever the defined other side is.
Right.
But it doesn't matter how long you live here. It only matters if it's consistently educated to the community how the process works. I mean, let me ask you this question: How many people think this city is a mayoral run city or a city manager type of government? I can guarantee you a ton of people don't know which one it is.
Right.
And and you know what? I know tons of people that probably have lived here for years and years and don't understand what type of management there is of the city. I mean, and it's not their fault. They just don't want to, maybe not care.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, there's, you don't know anything about the caucus. We'll just go to the website and educate yourself. No, that's not the answer. And that's a shame on people that say that. That's why the committee's there to help educate the community. That's why it's split into 4 wards. So those ward people are educating their neighbors.
Right.
And knocking on doors to get candidates to good people to volunteer. I don't know. That's crazy on me, but that's what they should be doing.
Well, Stu, I think, look, we should have some type of meeting to discuss what the hell happened with that school board election, because the community was pissed. Maybe the community will forget about it, and maybe that's what happens. I don't know.
But hey, Pete, let's look at this though. You know what?
Yeah.
Actions speak louder than words. And it was contested. It was contentious, so to speak. There was a lot of pissed off people. But let's look at the voters. Like, how many people voted?
Yeah. Compare that to social media, right?
I mean, how many people really, I guess with social media, the louder you scream, the better. But
but when it comes down to taking action, So
you know,
you have that
people
too.
scream and holler that they, oh, this is wrong with the city. This is wrong with the boards and commissions. But then those people, okay, well then volunteer. Make a difference. You go up and volunteer. Oh God, I'd never do that. Well then,
Right.
why are you bitching and moaning about people that are not getting paid? They're volunteering and doing the best they can.
Right.
This is the best system we have because it's all volunteers doing the best they can. But, sometimes there's opportunity to change stuff, and people should be open to do that. Not
there's a
preventative.
Japanese word out there called Kaizen, Kaizen, continuous improvement. The minute that we stop trying to improve, the minute that we run the risk of losing this system that we have in place and that we love, there's wasted energy out there. I'd like to have it put into other things like fixing a website, like helping Mothers Trust, things like that. And for anybody that
continue to volunteer and do what you're doing, and to have caucus people texting you saying we need to talk about your position, screw that. They shouldn't be. That's not right, because a volunteering, at the end of the day, if you're president of the caucus, you're a volunteer just like one of the ward people that are volunteering, because your president doesn't give you power. Vice president doesn't give you power over people. And we got to start learning that as a community. I mean, it's just everyone,
well, somebody has to speak up loud enough in order to get actions taken. And sometimes it has to be really loud for people to hear. Hopefully we've done that, Scoo. God bless the caucus. I'm told I'm a loud voice. Well, let's also, again, we would love people to come from the other side. We won't edit what you say. I'm not going to argue with anybody. Scoo might argue with you, but I'm not going to argue.
I want to argue with it. I want to hear people's points of view. That's what this is about. This is why I joined you. I thought it was a good thing for the community.
Well, I still think it's a good thing.
I mean,
all right, Scoo, let's put a fork in this thing. Okay. Thanks for listening to the Lake Forest Podcast. Please give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and smash that like button on Facebook, Instagram, and follow us on Twitter. Let us know what you'd like to hear about any upcoming shows. Again, I'm Pete and can be found at pete@lakeforestpodcast.com. The link will be in the podcast notes below. On behalf of my awesome co-host, Scoo Walker, we thank you for listening. Cue the band.
The Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Looking for the best pool supplies? Look no further than Dohany's Pool Supplies. With a history dating back to 1967, this family-owned business offers everything families need to keep their pools clean and sparkling, from chemicals to equipment. Plus, customers enjoy free shipping on all orders. Visit Dohany's Pool Supplies today at doheny.com, DOHENY.com, to learn more. Forest Bluff Real Estate Team serves Illinois, Wisconsin, Lake Forest, and Lake Bluff. John Josephitis, Laura Lee Van Fleet, and of course, Michelle Parnell. Get a free market analysis now at forestbluffrealestate.com. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Havey Communications has been helping first responders arrive safely since 1983. It's owned by Lake Forest's own Mike Havey. Check them out at haveycommunications.com. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters: Costa, Lance, Otto, RDM, John C., and Helen. Shout out to the Lake Forest Breakfast Group, Broad Stop and Captain Mike's in Kenosha, the Greentown Tavern, and the Frolic Lounge in Waukegan.